I can't believe you people come here voluntarily.
Hello and welcome to the Blue House Bull Session, here with you bulling on this gorgeous Wednesday. Man, is it a gorgeous Wednesday. It is a nice Wednesday, man. It's the best one we've had all week, hands down. I am Jay.
I haven't been outside.
Joined as always by my hetero life mate, best friend forever, Uber Fuzzy over here. Good to see you. Thank you again for the subscription. You know, I can't really say you don't have to do that. You already know you don't have to do that, and I do that for you, but I appreciate it. I appreciate it more than you know. I hope you do know that. It goes a long way. Also, thank you, Enya, very much for the follow. Hope you enjoy your time here. Goodness knows I do. Man, oh man. So, video games.
Oh,
I don't know. Is there anything new in the world of video games? I've been lost. I've been catching up on Indy's videos about all the horror games and all of that recently. and trying
Well,
to help her
one
stay ahead of the
one
curve.
big the one big thing I know is the marathon kerfuffle.
Oh,
You
I
didn't
am
hear
I
about
am
this?
unfamiliar. Please share with
Okay,
me.
so you're aware of a little small indie studio called Bungie,
And I remember a Once Upon a Time game they made for the Macintosh called Marathon.
right? And they still own the rights to that,
Yeah,
and it's kind of the precursor to
same
sort of.
Halo cinematic universe before there was a Halo. Yes.
It's debatable. We're not sure about that,
Thank you for
but
the
they're making a
sub.
new marathon game,
Okay.
and they're gonna they're they were attempting to join the late tail end of this sort of retro vaporwave kind of feel that a lot of games were doing for a while, kind of cyberpunky, kind of
Yeah.
where uh Destiny 2 and Neomuna went, and that whole resurgence of the last couple of years coming a little late on that. So part of Marathon's big vibe was the aesthetic, very retro, vaporwave, bright colors, very flat, futuristic. And they showed off a bunch of the assets and stuff in the trailer and stuff. And somebody pointed out there's an artist on Twitter.
Uh-oh.
Her
Oh
name
no.
is, I don't remember her name, but it's some verbs. I when you look it up and see it, it's some
Yeah.
verbs,
Yeah.
and it's like that's not a hand. Don't use a verb as a handle like that in the way. Anyway, she claimed, and is rightfully so, that Bungie took her assets off of Twitter and used them in the game, and did a piss poor job of scrubbing her information off of it. And not like, oh, AI picked it up, like somebody picked it up off of there, because the head of artistic direction for Marathon had followed her for a bunch of years. Their defense was some other contractor or artist that used to work with Bungie, who doesn't there anymore, used it and got added to an asset sheet. He like, no, because one of the symbols, there's like a strip of symbols and stuff, and one of them is just her logo, like of her account and stuff, and her like design, her iconic logo of that she uses for stuff is just right there in the strip.
Oh,
Like,
I have. Yeah.
into it. We're sorry. We're gonna, because this is not the first time they did this. They got busted doing this before, and they made right by the other artists and like compensated them. Like, we're sorry, things happen. We'll do compensate you, blah blah. To which he may or may not claimed, there was some debate in where I got this from, that he is still waiting to be actually actually paid for that. But Marathon's not even out yet.
Yeah.
And the debate is like, did this just put a big giant, just sink the ship, just like dead before launch? They had a Reddit AMA scheduled for this with the lead artistic director, the head honcho of art. And he got on there and it was an open live chat, and he just sat there on camera reading the vitriol for like 2 hours, just staring at the screen, just reading the hatred coming at him. And it's like, why did the lawyers let him get on there? And like, when you do bad, the politicians do this all the time. First thing you do is you don't say anything. You don't get in front of a camera, because you don't be subject to questions. You just shut up and take it. Let the lawyers and the other things deal with the fallout and deal with the shit, but you don't put yourself in the firing line.
If
Yeah.
if you do though, like there is an appropriate way to do that too. And step one is you say, "I screwed up. Holy crap, I screwed up." You know?
Well, it's, where is it? Artist. Oh, the artist's name is Anti-Real.
I see.
That's why I'm like, You know what?
Yeah.
You're going to be whatever, but yeah.
It's like naming your band The Who. They didn't know, lexical search engines were going to be a thing decades later, I know, but still. Or your programming language,
Yeah.
Go. They didn't
The
know that
worst part-
search engines were going to be a thing. Google had no
the worst
idea.
part about Go is you couldn't Google for it because there's a minimum 3-letter search term limit,
Yeah.
which is why you have to search for Golang.
Yep. The people who brought us what we now understand as the search engine, the de facto verb for searching on the internet, created this programming
Bing?
language that you couldn't get out of here. Clean out your locker and go home.
Which again, don't name shit after verbs that already exist. You can become a verb, that's fine.
No, like it wasn't a verb though. It was like
Yeah,
an onomatopoeia sound, maybe, and it's a variety of cherry, I guess, but it's not like an action before the search engine.
It was also a Chandler.
Yes. And his lovely wife, Mrs. Chanandler Bong. Oh, man. What have I been playing?
Yeah. What have you been playing, Jason? Other than what was that stupid idle game you've been playing?
Zelda Singularity? Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm still elbow deep in that one. Yeah, I admit it.
I have played functionally as a blind man that exact game formula before. Down to the down to like the upgrade evolution cards and the things for the spin-offs to like make individual things better. I have played this exact game before on a mobile game. All they did was put a 3D world over top of it for some convoluted mess of stuff.
It's a neat method of interactivity, and honestly, it may have even been the same one, because apparently it's not new. They just have a booth every year at PAX.
No, it was a asteroid mining game, but every bit of it's like, oh.
That's the thing, though. Like, you and I, with all the time that we've spent playing and thinking about and talking about and planning and working on, we see these mechanics recur all the time, all over the place. And the more you, like, drill down the individual piece of the mechanic, the more you see it everywhere.
No, I mean to the point, like, if somebody had read the Bitcoin white paper and went off and just re-implemented the entire blockchain as is the exact same way based on the original white paper concept.
And called it byte bucks.
Said,
yes, this is somehow different, except it's not.
Yeah.
I dig it.
A neat concept I've always wanted to do was have a cohesive idle game world.
Yeah.
That all that transaction was happening on the server, and anybody was free to create whatever client they want that plugs into that.
I could dig that.
If you want to visualize it as a 3D world, go right ahead. It's the same API calls. If I want to implement it looking like Progress Quest, go right ahead. It's the same data.
I could get with that.
You know, if you want to make a phone app to manage it and check on it, be as limited as featureful or feature, limited. You don't need to do everything. I just want to be able to like start a thing, stop a thing, check on my list, even though I can't manage it from the phone. Cool. Like a lightweight client.
Yeah.
If you want a fuller tablet interface for it, go right ahead. You want to throw some version of that on Steam to have people check it on their Steam Deck for some goddamn reason, go right ahead.
Idle Clicker is an API.
Uh-huh.
I dig that.
Yep.
So what have I been playing? Well, yes, I've been playing a lot of Bone Bros because I've been working on Bone Bros. You know what else I've been playing a lot, speaking of games that we're working on that you probably know we're working on, but I don't know if you know that we're working on it, so I should find out for sure. Our good friend and Hergel teammate, Ego underscore $0 whatever his username is now. I'm not gonna call out Jacob by name. I don't want to dox him or anything. Point is, hi Indy, I love you. I hope you're doing okay. I hope you did all right with the sticky stuff. I'll message you about it later. Awa,
Ovo?
Awa,
Ovo?
Awa. I have been
Ovo?
told time and time again that OVOO is pronounced Awa. I don't believe it either, but
In no possible. If you had asked me how to say that, I came up with 3 different ways I thought it was said. None of them are the one you just said.
yeah, I'm same way. He posts a pronunciation guide, and I respond with a gift that's like, no, it isn't. But he had an idea for a cozy, casual, relaxing, balance-based game, and he put together a little proof of concept. And I did what I do, and I take someone's proof of concept, and I shine it up a whole bunch, and then I go in and break some things and be like, all right, here you go. So he and I have
Then
been
they hand it off to me to point out the plot holes.
he and I have been bouncing back and forth a little bit on that, just arbitrarily, randomly, out of the blue, no particular. I don't know. He sent me a thing and said, "What do you think of this?" And when I thought about it, I changed some things and sent it back and said, "Here, this is what I think of this." But we have some notes on. Okay, I have some notes on what I'd like to see. He's writing up more in depth a ultimate vision, storyline, plan, design document, whatever. But it is in a state where it's actively playable right now. And I wrapped menus around it so it looks like a game. And I like what he's thinking. Sometimes we go back and forth and butt heads on ideas, as always, when you're a creative group of people, sometimes you go back and forth and you butt heads. But we are pretty well sorted in a collective vision so far.
I'm okay with butting heads as long as the person who had the idea has their version of what they were trying to go. You know what you're butting up against.
Yes, 100%. And that's one of the. You and I have discussed and argued a lot about Cafe and, getting design documentation and all of that down. And part of that comes down to the fact that for a large time, I was the source of truth about how things should be. And then we shifted a little bit towards let's reach an agreement. And then we kind of shifted back, and not all of that was recorded during any of those things.
Mm-hmm.
So we actually hit a really similar problem collectively with sushi in that Jacob and I had parallel visions. They differed, but we were going similar places. And what I told him was, I like your prototype. I'm stealing some of your code, but you are more than welcome to work on your vision. I'm over here working on mine while I figure mine out. We'll make 2 games. We'll put them out head to head. We'll take the best parts of both. We have options. It doesn't have to be a right now decision of this is how it's got to be forever and ever, amen. And I think that's kind of what's going on with Uvi. Awa.
Abstract the code enough where you can share assets. We'll cram them both into the same game, and there's mode A and mode B.
Yeah. But one of the things we ran into is it is a balance game. He made some shapes that you balance in a stack. Don't forget to drink water.
I coughed. It detected that I coughed and told me to drink water.
Does it detect when you sneeze and say bless you?
No,
It should.
it should. It can also detect a number of beeping noises, one of which is apparently there's a standard beeping pattern for smoke detectors and carbon monoxide detectors. It can detect those and let you know not only that it detected it, but which device was nearest to it in case you have multiple of them. Like, hey, we detected it from the kitchen, opposed to the basement or wherever. So you can kind of like, oh, that's the one that's closest
Yeah.
because it does. If it's got two, it goes by signal strength, but it can and glass breaking and crying because we used to have a routine when my child, when she was little, would detect her waking up in the middle of the night and start crying because that's what babies do. They wake up and cry because they need something. Sometimes they just wake up and are crying.
I mean, it's
It
not
would
just
detect
babies. Sometimes
crying,
I wake up crying, but
but wake up and would play a routine that played lullaby. It would set volume back down to 1 in case it was higher and start playing lullabies and stop playing after 30 minutes or whatever.
yeah.
But I automated child soothing. And my wife was like, "This is awesome. Also, I hate you for doing this."
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It worked though.
So, speaking of video games,
Yes.
I had heard a passing thing, but I didn't go look. It just kind of like floated by me and my eyebrow went up and then immediately went back down. But I got a message from one of my friends, and she said, "Did you see the new DBD episode?" And I'm not a Dead by Daylight player, but I think I might have to be.
No. No, please don't. It's
Because
such a
William Afton, they, they brought in Five Nights at Freddy's to Dead by Daylight. Now I got to play. Now all they need to do is like Snickers and Among Us, and
Dead by Daylight. Okay. I used to not resonate
yeah,
because I won't say I grew up playing Minecraft, but I played a lot of Minecraft. But it was still in my adult era. I was physically an adult, but it was still when I was younger and still playing a lot of games. I played a lot of Minecraft.
yeah.
It's been around long enough. I've played a lot of Minecraft through the majority of my life, period, at this point. So, also, I grew up playing with Legos. So it wasn't like, look at these blocks. It's like, I see this beautiful, crazy spaceship, not 4 squares. I can see what I'm imagining, not the actual blocks.
Right.
You don't see cubes. I see the intent of the cathedral you're building,
The
not the pixels on the
possibilities,
screen.
yeah.
So I don't understand. I did not grasp the hatred people had, or the disdain rather, for whenever they mentioned Roblox. Like, I didn't like the aesthetic, but Roblox was also quickly turning. It wasn't a game; it was turning into a platform and an
Yeah.
engine for other stuff. At that point,
Yeah.
it was still right at the early stage of it is a platform for games, not a game in its own right. I understand that now, and I get that anytime somebody mentions Dead by Daylight. I see stuff on Reddit like, oh, you know what? Like, oh, I'm, these baby streamers like, oh, what are you doing? Like, what do you like? I can't get views. Like, what do you stream? Oh, I'm Dead by Daylight streamer. It's like, oh my god, no. Oh my god, no. Just do something else for the love of God.
You want it? Should I get it?
You could probably turn some of those settings up slightly, just block those so it doesn't even hold it.
I'm so lazy, though.
Yeah.
Besides, there's still technically a viewer until I know they're not really, but haha, funny joke.
No, they're not. No.
I know, but
And it's not even that I'm not a fan of stress horror like that.
yeah.
It's more that I'm not a fan of that type of gameplay.
Yeah.
Regardless of the outward visual aesthetic of it and the horror and the blood and all and just the torturing of it, which I just find distasteful more than I don't like it. You know what? Some people like that. You can do it. That type of gameplay, I don't find
Right.
I don't see in through my eyes how that's fun.
Yeah. It's not in my top category of types of game I like to play either. But they put the Freddy Man in there. I have to play the Freddy Man because the Freddy.
What was the game? Okay. Okay, JGPT. I'm gonna ask some. I'm gonna see the question.
Chat JPT, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember a game. I think we played at the arcade. The humans were top down, and you built shit, and also you could go first person, and also there was like
Natural
Zergling type
selection.
thing. Thank you.
It was a Half-Life mod called Natural Selection.
Okay. And I remember the bug side, like you didn't do building, but you like spawned and it was like zerging and hacking, just like, but it was very non-symmetrical gameplay.
Yeah, it was like two different games that played against each other depending on which team you were on.
There was a game that came out later. I want to say it was Evolve with like the weird backwards E or something. It was basically the same premise as Dead by Daylight. It was one large monster that your stick was you evolved up with kills and everybody was trying to hunt and kill you, but like it was Predator, like you had
Yeah.
awareness and a mini map and radar and stuff and the other people didn't, but it was very like 4 versus 1, but the one was very OP. And it's like, it's a neat concept. I don't like that.
It's new, it's novel, it's not my jam. Yeah.
But it was the same, but that was less horror and more just like science horror.
Sci-fi. Even if it is horror, it's sci-fi.
Yeah. Horror-fi. But it, like all these individual things that I don't like all culminate in Dead by Daylight.
Yeah, I get that.
And then there's just the team aspect of it. The whole cooperation and communication on the non-hunter side, and everybody I know just sucks at communicating. They're either way too shy and silent and panicking and then they lock up, or forgive me, they're jiggy and they flap their lips but nothing is ever actually said.
Now, yeah. I'm trying. I want to defend him. I really do. But I understand what you're saying. The thing is, in the moment, very much, I understand that he gets like that, and a lot of people get like that, and that is a game built to make those moments.
Yeah.
Which is, like you said, I don't like the game, and it is because it creates an environment where that is the overall emotion.
It breeds two types of people and I don't like one of them because you games like that, if I'm going to play them, I want to play it good. I want to play to win. I want to be efficient. I want to do a good job at it. And people either want to play a game and relax and have fun, or they're playing it seriously. And you cannot mix these types of people.
Yeah.
This is it's like the people who are just like are fucking around while you're playing a board game and not really paying attention. They're just like, yeah, whatever, roll, like, haha, yeah, sure, I'll sell it. It's like the people who play Monopoly to win and the people who are sitting around a square of cardboard and occasionally moving pieces of paper around.
One of the biggest threats to online gaming in general is the people who play to win and do not opt into a competitive option if it is there. The people who specifically go in with the intention of making things unpleasant for the people who are just there to have a good time. If your multiplayer game supports casual and competitive, if you have a ranked mode, there are going to be people.
Yeah.
There are always going to be people, but sometimes I think to myself, boy, I wish we could boil them. Doesn't have to be oil. Yes. Water would do.
I was a fan for a while of first-person shooters.
Yeah.
Specifically the Halo variety, because I like my fantasy. I don't want to know a deagle or an awk or a thing. I don't want to know names of real guns. I want
a needlers
and yeah, basically. Okay, I want fantasy in my shooters because I want unrealistic projectile physics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. There was casual modes, and then there was ranked. I did not want to play ranked. I wanted I wanted the driest, unsweaty, unmoist gameplay. I was there to have fun. If I died, I died. I didn't even want to know my kill death ratio.
Yeah.
I don't even think they should show. I think in the casual modes, they should just not show your KD.
Putting a pin in that because we're coming back to it.
And I think you should have to declare when, like, you start, like, I am a non-casual player, put me in ranked, and you should not be allowed to go into the casual modes. And you can opt into it and you say, okay, I'm going to go into casual. I'm dropping down. But then for like 7 days or whatever, some cooldown period, you're not allowed to go back into ranked. You can't just drop down for a casual game to go fuck with people and then go back to your tier ranking or whatever, or, go climb your ladder, and be your triple gold, platinum, whatever, and then go mess with people. No, if you want to drop down the casuals, you're stuck there. And you have to play with all the people who are not doing a good job. And it will still affect your ranking up there.
Ooh.
To keep them from dropping down, and they can't go back to the ladder where they can earn their ranks back. If you get killed down there, it affects your KD, your ladder ranking there, so it keeps them out. But if you wanted to with your friends, you go back, but you are off the ladder for a while. So if that matters to you, you have to choose.
I also
because no good. It would prevent Smurf accounts too.
I also really like games where there's a mechanic to reward and praise other players and mark them as good people to play with.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that is what I want to see more of. I want to see behavior by the game that encourages better behavior from the players.
Destiny 2 had that.
Yeah.
At the end of each match, I don't know if you ever remember watching me play. Because it was usually three-person squads.
Yep.
And you was you and two people, but you had 3 cards. One was best dressed, one was good teammate, and one was, I don't remember the other thing. But it was like a good teammate. Whether or not they did good, but like they came and supported you, they stayed with you in cover, they did the objective, or I think that was what the other one was, like, did the did the good thing, I actually did the objective.
Yeah.
But you could vote on those, and those would actually shift how you got matched.
Now I have to figure out how to add that to Bone Bros. I know it's just such a dumb little casual thing, but now I'm thinking about it. So I said I wanted to put a pin in. I don't think they should show that to casual players. I mentioned Awa and working on that a little bit. I'm trying to force myself to learn to say it that way. Point is, Jacob had a proof of concept that had 10 pre-designed levels, and you hit the single button on the main screen that said play, and it started with the first level and proceeded through all 10. I wrote a menu system and broke everything out, and I'm like, here's how to make a level pack that's all a specific theme. Here's how to make a bunch of levels in the pack. Here's how to present them, and I menu system. So you hit the play button, and it takes you to the pack select menu, where you pick which level or which group of levels, which theme, what have you. And from there, you pick one, and it takes you to a level select screen, which shows all the levels that are available, whether or not you've beaten them, how many times, 0, 1, 2, 3, or more, your best time, and other interesting statistics. And he says to me, this is a cozy and casual game. We don't need to show those statistics unless you go looking for them. I'm not saying we won't track them. I'm saying we're not going to put them on the level select screen. And I said, I like the way you think. I was filling out a box. I put them there because there was room for them in the box. We absolutely do not need to show them here. We can go track your stats somewhere else if you care, because his goal is to make something where you don't have to care. You just go stack the boots on top of the glove, on top of the garden fork, and wait 5 seconds to make sure it doesn't fall over. So I very much get that. If you are in it for a casual experience, don't bombard you with metrics. And I fell into the trap of it. The data is there. Why don't we show it off at all times? Why don't we track it? Why don't we make you improve? I fell into that trap all too easily. So yeah, I think he's onto something with that. That said, one of the statistics I had pitched that should ultimately be tracked, or one of the ways we could, if it's a game about stacking things and balancing things, there are many different solutions you'll be able to find, to keep things off the ground for 5 consecutive seconds or whatever. And I had this thought because I like math. I'm a big math nerd. Everybody knows this by now. When you have a stack, each object has a bounding box, right? Like you can draw the smallest rectangle that contains the entire object. You can get a bounding box for all of the objects that you have stacked. And a way to score that is to have separate rewards for the best spread and the best pack. Which of your layouts is closest to a perfect square, and which of your layouts is furthest from a perfect square? Can I balance a very tall tower of narrow things or spread them out very wide? Or can I pack them into like an exactly minimal rectangle that happens to also be a square? So I have formulas for how to figure all of that stuff out and everything. But that was one of my pitches for what ways can you evaluate the win state of a balance game? There's time. There's always time. But if we remove time as a factor, or if we need more factors than just time, how else could you do it? And that was what I'd come up with. I thought it was pretty neat.
The one part about that stands out to me is the root part of relying on the bounding box may cause issues if we ever want it the shapes of things get hinky. Depending on how the bounding box is drawn. And that may cause issues or cause exploits.
Yeah, I follow what you're saying. Like if you have a
But
thing
that,
that's oriented diagonally, the bounding box could be considered the entire containing thing. But
yeah.
if it's vertical, it's. But that's kind of one of the things that I thought about is like, if you have a level that has a bunch of narrow things, we should reward you if you can stack them up very evenly, or if you can get them all balanced in a giant line across the screen.
God damn it.
But again, we're still early enough in the design stages of this thing that we're arguing over the pronunciation of what he pitched as a name. Because those letters don't make those noises. Not in English, they don't.
I assume Cairn was taken
Yes.
by some other balancing like game because, you know, it's not a new concept in any possible way.
Right. It's some long forgotten lonely cairn of stones. Ah, for just one time, I would take the Northwest Passage. Yeah. Sorry.
Yes, I know the domain is expiring in 9 days. That's why I'm trying to transfer out. Why don't you stop being a dick and let the transfer go through because it should only take at most 12 hours to verify 2 DNS records and just transfer the goddamn thing.
You seem tense.
A domain that was renewing recently, I decided not to stay with my registrar and I'm like, I'm going to go somewhere else. So I initiated the transfer on the evening of the 19th, which may have technically been the 20th UTC.
Yeah.
But it expired on the 23rd. A domain transfer can take up to 5. They're allowed to drag their ass for up to 5 business days. Now, granted, this was technically over a holiday that some of those days were over the weekend, but they had 3 full business days during the week to see that and approve that.
Yeah.
What bothers me is if you contact them and said, "Hey, can you expedite this?" They say, "Oh yeah, sure." And then almost immediately a button appears to they click a button, probably verify, yeah,
Yeah.
looks like you. Then you get a button to immediately transfer it. That causes it to go within like 30 seconds it's transferred and live and releases from their system. But otherwise, over the course of 5 business days, it just happens automatically, like fucking clearinghouse, because the thing has to go into this bucket and it eventually goes through. And it expired in that time and did not finish transferring until the 25th. So for 2 days, the domain was unlocked and technically registerable because nobody owned it, even though I'd already purchased it at the new one. But it was in this limbo state where I owned it at 2 places, but also nobody owned it, and it wasn't registered anywhere. So now I'm rapidly trying to transfer all of my domains out, but you can only have one outgoing transfer at a time.
Which isn't a problem for people that have a domain name. I understand people like that exist.
Unless you use their bulk tool and transfer out large batches, but then it's only one transfer outgoing at a time, regardless of how many domains are in it. But you can only have one outgoing action in flight
Yeah.
at a time, with between 1 and 100 domains in it.
Yeah, I need to go through my list as well. And start moving. I think you might be onto something. I think it is time to start moving those.
Pending transfer from losing registrar. That is the official status.
Heh, losers. All I have to do is make sure I don't accidentally register any domains when I go start moving them. I don't need any new domains. I have plenty of domains. I have all the web addresses. I don't need more web addresses, right?
I have a I have a bunch that I Okay, here's the thing. Domains are a weird fickle thing because once you've had them for a long enough period of time and you've used them for anything, you get this weird quantum state where like you can never let it go.
Yeah.
You are perpetually having to renew that for fucking ever because you can't let it go and somebody else do. There's no way to
Mhm.
like burn a domain, but like I don't want to pay perpetually every year. Yes, I know multi-year ones exist, but like I've used this for a thing on a thing or links to this exist somewhere. I need to keep it for fucking ever.
Yeah.
The IETF needs to have a way to make it where you can park a domain to be dead, basically. Like I will declare I'm not going to have put an active service to this. I just want to enter this on the DNS books that goes to nowhere. I am actively parking this. I will not use it, but I can't let anybody else have it. I will pay you $1 per registration year to park this to do nothing for the next 10 years. I will pay you some amount because, some record in a database has to exist, right? The thing is there's minimum ICANN fees to register domains, and they're multi-dollars, which is why the cheapest you will ever be able to register a domain is like $7 or $8, and that's if the registrar is like making 0% profit on it, because there's just inline fees that they pay to hire authorities to do things. But that's because you're going to do stuff with it. Most people register domains to do stuff with it and potentially make money for it. So they want their, their one drop of blood in the
Yeah.
start of that chain. I want to be able to own a domain and declare I'm going to do nothing with it.
I am very curious now. I'm going to start doing some research this weekend. This next. I'm going to start doing some research in July. I'm very curious. I'm very curious.
It's like the same problem kind of exists with driver's licenses. If you have a license but you don't have a car and you really don't drive anywhere because you don't have a car, your insurance to exist as a person is higher because you might get into a vehicle.
Yeah.
It's like Ash's insurance technically might be higher because you are another licensed driver in that house that may potentially, in theory, have access to her car. Even though it's not your car, and we're going to pretend here you never use it, it's her car and you don't use it, let's because you have your own car, it causes each other's to go up.
It did.
Yeah.
It did.
I was watching a video of some YouTuber is like, I don't drive because I live in like he drives, but he's like weird cramps and anxiety and stuff. Like, so he has a license, but he doesn't drive.
Yeah.
When he lived with his dad for a while, his dad's insurance was going to go up like $1,000 per like half year or something for him who doesn't drive. And he's like, if you're actually not going to drive, we're going to go and file a form and you're going to surrender your driver's license back into an ID to the state of New Jersey and say, no, really, I don't drive. I am not a licensed driver in this household. Like in an emergency, you know how to drive, but you are not a licensed driver.
I have so many opinions on that. You know what they are already.
Yeah.
The insurance market in general. Insurance markets in general in the U.S. are living, breathing train wrecks.
Look, You can pick one. You could either be stingy about payouts and not approving things, but you don't get to charge a whole lot.
Yeah.
If you want to charge real little money, but we're going to be real critical about what we approve and stuff, that's fine. Or you can charge a bunch of money, in which case, when I file anything, as long as it's not crazy moonshot, weird elective thing that I probably don't need, you just rubber stamp that because I'm paying into that pile of money, McDuck, and you're gonna pay, and you're gonna hand it back out.
Yeah.
You pick one of the two, but the problem is those two are mismatched.
Yep. Very, very much so. And
When we had our daughter, we had actually intentionally switched our insurance to the gooder one, knowing we're going to have a hospital stay and a pregnancy and all these prenatal visits, and then also all the newborn visit checkups for the next first year or so. So as soon as we found out pregnant, we switched it up, knowing this when that renewal came up. And we were paying a stupid amount per month, but we knew we were have like no deductible, because we knew we were going to be using the fuck out of it, and they still pushed back on stuff in the hospital stay for the delivery.
Yep. They've tried me on a whole bunch of different GLP inhibitors, semaglutide, dulaglutide, etc.
Yeah.
And they'll switch me and it'll work. And then insurance will say, yeah, we're not going to cover that. So my doctor, in an attempt to be helpful, will switch me and it'll work. And insurance will say, yeah, we're not going to cover that. And I think at this point, we've been through just about all of them. So now I'm just not taking them because it is $1,200 a month.
I understand that research and development, especially at this point, of new designer drugs, basically, even though they're not, GLPs are not fucking new.
Right.
They've been AR'd, they've been D'd, they're done. I get it, you put the money in and they want to make their money back out, but there's no reason they should cost that much.
Especially because that price is regionally dependent.
Yeah.
If you go look at the actual retail cost of those everywhere else in the world, they're cheaper.
Yeah.
It's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating. I'm trying not to wax too political here. I'm bad at that. Oh, I'm bad at that. Anyway.
I think we have a weird tainted view of it because we lived through the brief kind of golden age near the later aughts and early teens when product, not shipping, but product availability kind of with the rise of Amazon.
Yeah.
When you could get anything anywhere in the world within a few days. It didn't matter where you lived. Yeah, everything was just online. I could get it shipped anywhere. There was no regional pricing because it didn't matter. In that same order I pushed, if that USB cable was coming from New York for whatever, because that's where all the electronics were, was shipped from the East Coast, and those clothing were coming out of Indiana, they somehow arrived at my house magically in 2 days in the same box. And it didn't matter.
Yup. I don't know, man. I don't know. Yes, hi, howdy. Happy Wednesday.
It's an S.
But yeah, no. It's expensive to be alive, and teeth are a luxury, and healthcare, I have opinions on it. Especially watching not even me. I'll walk it off. I don't I don't actively seek medical care very often. I'm not a fan of the healthcare system in general. Doctors and hospitals scare me. I don't like them in the first place, and then they make it prohibitively expensive on top of that. But the people whom I care about, the people that are important to me, who are more comfortable seeking health care and still cannot receive it because of the cost, absolutely infuriates me. Every time you hear those stories of someone saying, don't call an ambulance, it makes me want to go start fires. I don't, but I want to.
The whole ambulance industry is another fucking just. You want to talk about predatory? Like, that's insane.
Very much. Very, very much. I don't know. It's, yeah. No, there's a lot of truth to that. And like I understand there are cases where medication is appropriate. There are cases where better care of your body in general will help. There are a lot of situations where people are regularly eating things that aren't necessarily the best for them, especially in the context of pre-prepared packaged foods.
Yep.
And I'm no new age health nut, but first of all, we're old people, okay? I remember when they used to tell you to eat 6 to 8 servings of grains and starches a day. You remember the food pyramid?
Mm-hmm.
That's not the advice anymore. They changed that once the grain industry got their dirty hands out of it. Now I sound like a weird conspiracy theorist. Speaking of conspiracy theories, blueprints.
Yes.
It's just conspiracy theory, the game. It really is. I've been kind of losing myself.
Food guide pyramid.
I've been kind of losing myself in the Reddit for blueprints and watching other people hit the point where I've hit. And I'd mentioned before that I'd done some data dumpster diving and looking at all of that. And the game secretly being released in chapters and everything.
No. Okay. Until they did the full, like, some people just pulled the assets out because that's easy to do.
Right.
But later, somebody actually took them and actually did a full decompile of it and actually dug through the actual step code of what was happening.
Yeah.
There was that period in between. There was the leading theory that I thought that there was a proper second win condition, second credits or whatever, that was supposed to fire off, and that the author like fat fingered to something and checked the wrong variable, so it never fired because it was like checking for no homers.
Yeah.
You know, and you were one homer, like some situation where it was checking like the wrong variable name or something, you know, so it like wasn't an error, but it also would never succeed. So when you did the thing the second time, trying to be spoiler free here, not just being an idiot, a thing would go off and you would know, you definitively, yes, you have now completed the true win condition. Congratulations. Go outside and touch some grass.
Yeah.
And there was a leading thought that the developer biffed something, and that's why it wasn't going off.
Mm-hmm.
And then they did this full decompiler, like, no, there is nothing there. It's like they just didn't.
Did you see the newest patch notes and the upcoming patch notes? They're putting it there.
Yeah.
So I gotta do this again. On the bright side, I remember how to do it. That's one thing I will say for blueprints is when you solve a puzzle, the solution remains. The puzzle may not stay in a solved state, but I can go in and press the same buttons on the safe, which, by the way, safes now stay open. But I can go in and put in the solution again right away.
Yeah.
And they are changing some of the mechanical slow cutscene things that get repetitive in redoing a solution. Anyway, I'm excited to see what the new patch brings us. Turns out the train will finally arrive. Did you remember to fill up the gas can in the garage? I'm not saying I'm done with it, but I feel like I've more or less completed it because I don't expect they'll add more game to it. And
oh wait, I didn't see this new one. I saw the one from like a week or two ago.
oh yeah, new one. The stuff that is still coming, Dirigiblocks and the cat, and those aren't
No, that should
spoilers
be
because
out.
they're in the yeah.
No, that no, there's one that got posted yesterday.
Yeah, yeah. But I will say that as a new micro genre of game, the roguelike puzzle, etc., as that mechanic, I really like it.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah.
I don't want to say this out loud where you can hear me because I know what your reaction's going to be. I want to make one. That would take a heck of a lot more planning, but I kind of want to make one. Yes, with blackjack. No, I don't know how I'm going to work Sudoku into it yet. But yeah, I see this opening doors. I don't know if I should say no pun intended there or not.
I was gonna be like, really, you're gonna make that joke?
To a lot of people building blueprints inspired games and putting their own spin on it and using this as a springboard for the combination of mechanics they want with this as the if you liked your warm up, your starter, you know.
How many Binding of Isaac clones, whether they were literal clones with like flipped asset sets or whatever, just because you could, I mean, basic physics collision bullet hell you could crank out in if you were a moderately decent programmer, you could crank out a Binding of Isaac physics wise in a day or two.
Yeah.
Half of that, even less if you already like knew the engine or platform you were on. If you were already like working with Unity or whatever, if you already had experience with a 2D thing, you could crank out a Binding of Isaac, populate with a handful of mechanics. That would be the creation, the content creation part. It would take longer than creating the game.
Yeah.
How many of Binding of Isaac likes came out the first time around and then also with Rebirth?
Yeah, no, absolutely tons of them. And
There's no there's gonna be a wave of these of rogue puzzlers.
first person visual novels, yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing, is it's somewhere between the thing about blueprints, and I know we're just about at time for break here, but the thing I like about it is it's a perfect intersection between roguelike and roguelite, where you do it's not a full inventory reset, but it is,
Yeah.
but it's not. You know, it's like not the like a it's the best of
There are
it's the
there are
perfect color
permanent
carbon.
and impermanent upgrades.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But and both halves of that are required for, and puzzles use both halves of that. It's not, well, these puzzles rely on permanent things, so you have to evolve the world while you're, you know, you you do the impermanent stuff to slowly evolve the world to solve the permanent based puzzles, and then there's ephemeral puzzles that take ephemeral pieces that don't involve the permanent. It's like, no, they fucking involve.
Yep. Every last bit of it ties to every other bit of it.
Pirate Software is posting his full VOD. He's
Oh,
having somebody
cool.
comb through and cutting it together. He's got like 100 hours of gameplay. They're cutting out some like ad breaks and stuff like that, and they're cutting out some parts that don't matter because he did other stuff or getting started. But like his actual gameplay time, he says it's about 100 hours of footage they're starting with. They're gonna get it down to about 80, but they're going to upload it to YouTube as one fucking video.
That's amazing.
Of him playing Blueprints over like a week and a half.
Now here's the real question. Who's going to pick up the film rights?
Oh my God.
Could you imagine? That's a genuine question. That's not like a wish and dream, here's the wavy lines. That's like a genuine, could you see this being turned into a feature film?
Jason. Who framed Roger Rabbit style? Because you could keep the drawn, cel-shaded art aesthetic for all of it, too.
From the director of The Cube, because the rooms are in different places every day, and in a movie they'd have to explain that.
Yeah.
There's a video games get away with so much hand waving, and this is the prime example of that. But yeah.
Like what the?
Anyway, we are going to take a break here, but I'm going to plant a seed in your head for while we're on break. Did you know there was a Japanese remake of Cube? Like,
yes,
very, very recently.
Yes.
If you have not seen it, if you have not seen original Cube, go watch it. If you have, go watch the remake. If you've seen us both, let us know what you think about them in the comments there, in the chat, type your opinions into the text window. Paste it in Notepad, I don't know. Anyway, we're going to take a 5-6 minute break.
No, people, we don't talk about that.
I do. I liked it.
No.
Go hydrate, don't dehydrate, take your dogs out, touch some grass, grab yourself a sandwich. We will be back in about 5. Hello. Welcome back to the Blue House Bull Session. Back bulling with ya with these chill Wednesday vibes. I sound like I'm LLM generated speech. Do they have the AM radio hosts anymore? Who hosts Too Cool in the Morning? What's the jive? Who's on NPR now? Wait, don't tell me. Sorry. That was bad. It was bad. Even by my standards, that was bad.
The one problem I have with a lot of those shows, since I am neurospicy as all fuck and impatient and just crave all the mental stimulation, I listen to everything at speed. So a roughly 1 hour show with commercials, so it's 30-40 minutes of content at 1.75 speed, just you blink and like, wait, why is that already over? It's like, oh, because you consumed an hour of content already.
Mm-hmm.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's like, yes, but I want it to go on for like 2 hours. Like, but it would be like a 6 hour you need to watch a season of it.
Mm-hmm. Yep, very much so. So during break, you had mentioned something about IMDb? Because
Okay.
Cube kind of kicked it off?
Okay. I had to go look up who were the actors, the people in Cube.
Yeah.
Because I found out years later that an actress that I remembered existed from Stargate, because she was also a main actress on Star Trek. I was looking up, it's like, oh, I know her. It's like, oh yeah, that's Esri. And I was looking at her, I'm like, oh, wait, she was in Cube. Oh shit, yeah, she was. I didn't recognize it because she would, had been it had been, she was in DS9 in 98. And then Cube was 97. But significant aging differences there.
Yeah.
But when she was in Stargate, it had been 10 years. So she looked like not a young female. She looked like, an actual adult woman at that point. So whenever you're looking at the filmography pages on Wikipedia or even IMDb, Wikipedia does something neat. In their little info box thing, it says, oh, this is the year they're born. And then immediately after it, because through the magic of calculation, they can pull the current fucking year minus the year they were born and tell you their age. So you don't have to do that math.
Yeah.
What I wish was in the column of like IMDb or Wikipedia, where it's like, oh, in 1991, when they were in 13 episodes of Beyond Reality, how old were they then?
Yeah.
At the age, in 91, at the age of 24, they did that, like, I want to see their ages there. I don't know why. There was probably a reason I had that thought, but it's like, especially like, oh, when did they just like, oh, I don't remember. It's like them being, it's like, oh, because they were probably, they were in their mid-20s then. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Especially if it's an older movie. It's like, how old were they in that? 98. See, what year she was born? She's 70. So yeah, she was young as fuck. She was 18, 19 then? Yeah, okay, that makes sense. So she was in Stargate. She was 28. Like, I want to see that math done because that's a math. Hug me. Hug me, Daddy.
They're all attacking at once. Which I don't really
cats
mind.
Crawling around.
I don't.
While you were gone too.
I don't mind that too much. I really don't. You can't be up here right now, Gomez, buddy. No. I already gave you lunch and then forgot and gave you another lunch. You don't need fed right now, I assure you. He's such a sweetheart. It's so nice to have him back. Can you? I have been able to see his little paw just reaching up, grabbing at the bottom of my arm on stream. So everybody say hi to Gomez. Hi, Gomez.
Hi, Gomez.
I have this issue a lot with bands, especially bands that have had a long career span. My premium example of this is Pink Floyd. If you try to picture a group of people, you have a mental image of people. You just carry one. And usually your mental image of people centers around a certain age. It can change over time, but like when I give you a name and you think of someone, you think of that person and you think of them at an age. There is an age they are in your head.
Phil will perpetually always be cranky high school Phil for me.
Yeah,
regardless of the fact that he is around approximately our age and is equally old and decrepit as we are. He will always be hunched over, crypt keeper, angry, ratchety Phil.
We love you. I love you, Phil.
He's probably watching.
I was gonna say he's usually here, so. Pink Floyd is my prime example of this because in my head, like just default picturing them, I see like 1975 David Gilmour and 2010 Roger Waters. I see the young guitarist and the old bassist, and they weren't. They were closer in age. They were both the 1975 versions of themselves in 75. They were both the 2015 version of themselves in 2015. But my mental image of the band just has those very different. And I don't know why. I don't know why. It's kind of like if you think about a person, what are they wearing? Do you have a default outfit for them in your head? What is their costume? Or do you like mentally file away pictures of people and everyone's wearing white culottes and a mid-length sleeve tee? That's probably a horrifying image in and of itself, but.
So, you would want to know how many years since their formation that album came out? Is like, that's when the date starts? Just like how long have they been a band when they made that album, or just like an actual picture snapshot of them performing?
That's just, yeah, when I think of them in my head, I see very
snapshotted at the time of that album.
Yeah. And they don't align, two members. That's just.
Yeah.
Like LeVar Burton is getting old.
Yeah.
But I do not believe it because in my mind he is on Reading Rainbow still in 1986. Yeah. You know?
Well, there's Reading Rainbow LeVar. And even then past that, there was Geordie LeVar.
No, that was the Reading Rainbow guy with cool sunglasses mentally for me.
No, because he had actually still aged kind of like that coming into adultness thing by that point. Especially by
objectively, yes. But you watched a lot more TNG than I did.
Over the 7 years of that show, he really, he went from 20-something into full adult in the 30s and matured into an actual, like, adult male. Like, fully.
You had a little bit more exposure to that as it was going on in progress, though.
And then another 6-7 years of movies after that, yeah. And then him in the newer stuff was, full on gray beard, like.
And he makes it look good.
Oh yeah, it's man.
And here we are aging like fine milk. I can't complain. I'm still alive despite the medical system's best effort. I'm not getting back into it. No. We're going to talk about good positive things. We're going to say nice things about video games some more. That's what we're going to do. We're going to talk about video games some more. Let me tell you about video games. This is not actually about video games. I've been working on some stuff for Cafe that we've been trying to get out for the next update. And we're using GitHub on our end to keep track of all the source code and everything. Because, I've got a whole team of developers, by which I mean I conned 3 of my friends into working on it with me. They have a feature now where you can have an AI review your code in addition to humans and have it catch the little nitpicky details that others might miss. And you
I've
know
been put
what?
out of a job.
No, not at all.
Yes. Yes, because I had the exact same comments before I read the AI comments. I looked at the PR before you hit that button. I'm like, well, I could say something like that, but I don't want to like hold up. And it's like, no, this is like, I'm like,
There are things you will still catch that it will not, but boy, howdy, is it a handy tool.
okay, so there's 2 tools at work there.
Yeah.
One, the AI reviewing part of it, where it actually looked at the code like individually and left you comments. That I I have qualms about, and it really depends on the language because there's a lot of context to where stuff it has to know. It has to be quite opinionated, but at some point, yeah.
Yeah.
But also the AI PR summary,
Mm-hmm.
I think that as a starting point, pre-fill this in. I'll go in and edit it after that. Like, fill this in for me, and then I'll add the 2 or 3 things you didn't catch or change the wording or what the intent was. That is beyond useful as fuck.
Yeah. You and I need to talk about Cafe sometime in the next couple days, too, because earlier this week at dinner, by the way, I want to tell the story about dinner after this. When we were out during the pickup stage of dinner, we talked about how to run the server locally, and I really want to try and get the Twitch stuff straightened out, by which I mean I really want the Twitch stuff straightened out, but I'm not smart enough to do it. So I want to help you get the setup so you can verify that you did it right because you're smart enough to do it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do want to talk to you about that at some point tonight, tomorrow, whenever. I have a meeting after this, but once again, here I am saying something out loud so that someone else is aware that I have a plan. All in the name of accountability. Dinner. We do family dinner on Mondays, and we have for quite a while now. It's one of my favorite days of the week. Aunt BJ comes over, Buzzy comes over, whoever else we decide to invite comes over, and we just hang out and have dinner. We'll get takeout or we'll go out occasionally. Once in a while, I'll make something, what have you.
Also, Rufus is there.
Also, Rufus is there, and boy, does he roof. Being that in the U.S. it was Memorial Day on Monday, which is observed as a holiday and commonly associated with cookouts, one of our local grocery stores had a rib thing where cook ribs front of store out. And you buy with ribs cooked.
They had been cooking them since Friday.
Point remains that we said, hey, we should go get some ribs, but we knew that we were running up on the time when they would probably stop and might start running out. When we got to the store to pick up ribs, they told us out front that they were down to their last 4 slabs. We speed ran the store real quick to get some sides to go with our ribs, and by the time we got to the checkout to buy ribs, they had 1 slab left.
No, they had 0 slabs left.
They had 0 slabs
and they
left.
Found one.
Then they found
on the
one
shelf.
On the shelf.
Yes, which I think somebody had set that aside for them, but it wasn't sold yet. I think an employee took it but could not check it out because they were still on their shift.
I really hope that wasn't the case because I would feel so bad about that.
That's totally what it was.
I feel so bad about that.
I can guarantee that's what it was because I know their policies on that stuff.
Oh, I feel so bad about that. No, I wish I never knew. Anyway, we bought the last slab of ribs to split between 4 people.
Mm-hmm.
So in a fit of intelligence, I had this great idea. Let's go get some Arby's. We'll just fill out the rest. They've got pulled pork sandwiches and brisket sandwiches on the menu right now. Those are barbecue adjacent foods. We'll just swing through Arby's because it's right by the grocery store. And I ordered on the app. Because, of course you do. I placed my order, and I made sure that it had all my information for payment so that we could just go pick up the food from next door. We were still going to have to wait, but at least it minimized how much we had to talk to people because I'm bad at being a human being. And I hit checkout, like complete order, whatever that button is. Take my money and make my food. And the first thing it did once I had done that, is pop up a notification that says, "Do you love the Arby's app?" From experience, I know if you click yes on this pop-up, it takes you to the Android App Store and says, "Leave us a 5-star review, write what you like about it, blah, blah, blah." And I did not feel like doing that. I just wanted to get my sandwiches and go home. So I looked for a close button, which there was not. I'm sure there's a mechanism I could have closed that modal pop-up, but it wasn't readily apparent. So I pressed no. It immediately redirected me to a feedback page asking what problems I had with the Arby's app. And I got so irrationally angry in that moment because all I want is my confirmation. Show me the success of my order. Tell me how many minutes we have to wait in the parking lot before we can go in and get the food. I did an action that results in a status. Show me the status. Don't guilt me into giving you approval for your application that should have been a website. Oh, it's infuriating. As a computer person who has to do these things for pay, I hate that I have to do them. And it's frustrating to run up against it. Like, no, I do not have any feedback to give you now. I have a need for the immediate information that I requested by placing an order. Like, yes, your credit card went through. You can pick it up in 5 minutes.
Yes, you actually ordered at the right store that you're standing outside of.
Net Promoter Surveys ruined the customer experience. They did not serve to improve it at all. They ruined the customer experience. I 100% blame the rise of NPS for this.
Yeah.
For anyone not in the know, Net Promoter Scores, yeah, it was a big trend in satisfaction surveys where if you're ranked on a scale of 1 to 10, anything less than a 9 means something is wrong, and it is an opportunity for improvement. And there's a minimum amount of feedback that you're expected to get. So they push you to push your customers to give feedback. And all of this has been a cyclical loop leading to lower service. It's absolutely infuriating. It's one of the many reasons that I should be mindful what I say here. I'm not going to, but I should be mindful what I say here. It's one of the many reasons that I'm afraid to give honest feedback on the survey they do at work, the anonymized feedback survey. So I have a pile of stock answers I give, and I give 9 out of 10 on everything because the last thing I want is for them to come ask me about my feedback. No, I just want to keep my head down and get through this. I have gotten to the get through this point with my job. I really should be careful about what I say here. I know the kind of people who watch. But over time, we have moved so that not only is it customer facing, but it's internal facing. It's scored on the same NPS metric. They beat on you, and not literally, but they lean very aggressively on you to fill out these surveys. But honest feedback is not rewarded. It is punished.
Twice. I got one of those at what was it? 3 months. I got one at 60 days and I got one at 3 months, which are not necessarily the
Yeah.
and and they, bless their heart, my boss came to me immediately after I filled that out, because as soon as I completed it, it triggers like, oh, it triggered a thing like has completed, this check. It bubbled up and it went up the chain, and somebody was checking their email in the early morning or whatever because they get up and they're weirdo, and they messaged my boss. We're still there at the middle of the night in the store to go and talk to me about my feedback, because I'd filled it out at like 2 or 3 in the morning, like because
Yeah.
on shift, like, hey, go take your break, go do your thriving, go do your computer, go do check your workday, et cetera, and I did that, and it set off their email at 10 in the middle of the night, and they text messaged my boss to come talk to me about my feedback because they were concerned about my well-being and the store's well-being, because it seemed like I had a very active opinion that may that may involve needing immediate actions.
Yeah.
They're like, I need to talk to you about your feedback. What the hell did you say? I'm like, I don't know. I don't know. It's like, you just typed it like an hour ago, and I'm like, and it already left my head. I don't know. My fingers touched the keyboard and my brain flowed through them, and I was not involved in this process.
I used to feel comfortable giving honest feedback. It used to be actioned on in a positive manner. Now, giving honest feedback is not.
This is not the one that involves sucking dick.
Yeah.
This is
This is the
circle.
other one, yeah. Not the one who's like, whose genitals do I have to chew to get the vending machine refilled? I do remember you leaving that feedback note.
No. That was a wait. No, yeah, that the sucking dick was about vending machines.
Boy, is that a clip. Don't clip that. Anyway.
I have since started bringing a water bottle and drinks and stuff, and not needing that. That was more of a Christmas. It was just,
Yeah.
but I go up and I check every couple days when I want to go use the good bathrooms upstairs. I check the vending machines, and none of them are sold out anytime after that since then. So, yeah.
They still have vending machines on our radar, but that's for way further down the line when we stop starting new projects.
It's
I have a justification. I keep starting new projects because you say write a design document. And my problem is I need to be able to play it to say no, this ain't it.
mm-hmm. Yes. Write your outline before you write your paper. No, if I had the mental fortitude to write the outline, I could just write the goddamn paper.
Yeah. Documenting decisions as they're made, absolutely no, I get what you're saying. I agree with that. But a lot of the reason I don't build a spec before I start building is I start building to see if it's worth making a spec for.
With the scale of the projects we do, and because for the most part, most of the stuff we do starts as a single developer thing,
Yeah.
and then involves the rest of the team for polish and review and other stuff. So it's not it's faster to just prototype the damn thing live as you go and then show it off. And I get that. I think for some of these larger things we're hoping to get done, it is going to take, what we really ought to do is sit down and have a team meeting and you're not going to like it, but I think we ought to go get one of those AI meeting bot things that writes a summary
Yeah.
and just all of us sit there and just jam session and spitball and come up with ideas. Just pick a topic, pick a game, and we all throw out the ideas and theorize what we want this game to do. Have it take the summary, and there's 90% of the document, and we just structure it to all align what we agree what the fuck we're actually going to write.
No,
And then whoever picks it up to start prototyping it and then hands it off to somebody else who's going to prototype the next some part of it. You know, you want to sit and write the core game mechanic. Jacob wants to write the balance game. He wants to write the balance mechanic. You want to turn a game around a larger game
yeah.
structure around that. And then I can go in and I'll write the menuing and other stuff and and turn it into an actual app and get the scene to change. Like, I don't care about start game scene. I don't care what the fuck happens. You don't have to write the core mechanic. You can write the puzzles and the things and the layering and the statistics around that. Like,
Yeah.
but as long we all have to agree, we don't need parallel lines. We have to converge at some point.
Yeah.
3-point perspective here, guys. Nope. No Einstein parallel into the future. We need convergence. God damn it, Daria.
We're well on our way.
There's a sale at Cashman's.
Oh, goodness. Goodness gracious me.
There's definitely, I think, to get some of the larger goals we have to actually happen, it's gonna have to take, against our better will, some planning ahead.
Right.
And especially because we can identify, hey, we're going to need assets for some of this stuff.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's going to take some, but assets take time. And yeah, we can MS Paint or begrudgingly, grab free stock photos, or in a few rare cases that we don't ever actually use it, throw
Placeholder.
together some
Generative. Yeah.
AI, generate some stuff as placeholder what we want, and then pay somebody to actually make real stuff out of it, which I think is an appropriate use of AI generative.
No, Six Alona and I were on the phone until like 3 this morning talking about exactly that. And there's agreement there where it's like, this is a good purpose for that tool.
It saves the artist time of that prototyping back and forth and back and forth. If I can model it out in CAD and throw it in a VR simulator before you send off an idea to have somebody make a mold to make you a test run of 10 of a thing and then send it back and see how it goes and all that to make another mold. It's like, no, let me play with the damn thing. Let me 3D print it and see if it actually works before we go and have an actual industrial mold made.
Yeah.
Don't make the final thing on a 3D printer and sell it on Amazon. I swear to God, I'm going to find that guy and just beat him with his own fucking dice roller. But let me prototype those quickly.
Yep.
Grr.
Yeah, there's definitely planning that needs to be done, but there's also a lot of times where it's like, I'm going to make enough of this to see if it's worth making.
Yeah.
And that's where we are with a lot of the irons we have in the fire right now.
It also doesn't help that all four of us have
other ongoings, yeah.
Busy.
I was thinking about that.
Otherwise time-consuming day jobs in addition to complex home lives and other side projects, be it, families or 600 other projects, 600 different charity groups.
Thinking about that. I was thinking about that. I know I was just yelling about being mindful about what I say regarding my day job and all of that. I did the math to get Bone Bros to the point it is currently.
Mhm.
Just to the point it is currently. I'm not even going to be more specific than that. I have the multiplayer stuff sort of working. I have a lot of things sort of working they need fixing. But you can pick up the controller and run around and hit things, and you can do that in multiplayer as well. Point is, to get it to the point it is right now took less than 40 hours, like man hours.
How much of that would you say was learning a new thing, not just working on the project with the knowledge you already had?
10-ish hours of it, maybe 10 to 15.
Okay.
But in terms of like, I don't know, it really brings to mind what I feel like I could do without the other standing commitments I have. And I think that that's a sign not to quit my job, but I think that's a sign to be a lot more choosy about the things I agree to that take up time.
Mm-hmm.
Zeldathon Voyage starts on June 9th, by the way. I will be leaving on the 6th, so it's very possible there will be no show next week. We'll find out for sure. I will confirm. But Zeldathon Voyage is coming up starting June 9th. I will make sure I have details all over the Discord about that. Come check out the show. It's going to be fantastic. The scheduled trailer is out now. Go see all the segments that got picked up. I'm going to be doing music there again. I'm going to be hanging. All kinds of fun stuff. I'm super excited. I am.
So it starts on the 9th. It goes that week.
Yeah.
So you'll also be out the 11th.
Yeah.
I should know my schedule.
Sometime during that block, you should find out your timing for everything. Yeah.
Yeah. We may have to start recording this later.
Yeah. No, that would not be a problem. That would not be a problem at all.
Any standing meetings you tend to do after this?
Nope. I have one tonight, but it's a one-off for something else. So we're good with that.
Move to another day.
Yeah. We can hash that out. But yeah, it's just 2 weeks away, so I have to like really kind of nose to the grindstone on that stuff and make sure I have everything ready to go between now and the 6th when I leave.
Are you unhooking and taking your whole computer this time again?
Yes, I am. Should you come over and redo my wires while my computer's not hooked up to them? Probably. Ha ha ha. Anyway, plenty of free time. I don't have to stress it. I've got time before Zeldathon to do all the things I'm working on.
It's all about priority.
By the way, Big Broadcast for Good is this weekend, and I just got a message from my friend Michael. Twitch.tv/Jiggy. You know, I'm giving him a shout out. Can I do that? Can I get over to a chat window and give him a shout out? Can I actually focus on the shout out, Jiggy? If you're one of the few people here who is not already following our good friend Jiggy, make sure you follow him. BB4G, Big Broadcast for Good is this weekend. Hence the title of the show is scrolling down right underneath you there. This is the big broadcast before the Big Broadcast for Good. That's why it's BBB4 BB4G. There it goes. Look, see? I thought I was so clever putting it down there. I thought I was so clever putting it down there. Anyway, yeah, BBB4 BB4G. The extra B is for bargain. The extra B is for BYOBB. What's that extra B for? It was a typo. And I will be making a few appearances, and depending on the schedule timing, which I'm going to hash out with Mr. Man in a few minutes, Mr. Fuzzy might be there as well. Make sure you are there. Tune in. Come help raise money for St. Jude Children's Research Hospital. Come support a whole bunch of the community members who are there. that's one of the things I really like about BB4G. Honestly, like I like Jiggy the human being. He is a good friend, even if sometimes he's a little bit higher energy than I usually run. You know what I mean? But he's a good dude. He's a good dude. But he brings together his community. He's not like, how do I phrase this? As a professional producer, this is a thing he does for money. This is a job he's had. He takes his event to bring his community together to raise money. He's not
Yeah.
scouting talent. You know? He's not going to like send a professional email to ZFG asking if he'd like to join a charity event. He's going to send DMs to all of his friends and be like, hey, man, you got an hour on Saturday? You want to come, I don't know, pick your nose for donations? Hey, hell yeah, I want to pick my nose for donations. I'll wipe my brain right on the camera for $50,000. Speaking of which, our goal this year, like our secret goal, is to get his lifetime contributions to St. Jude's over the 50,000 mark. That's kind of like our secret internal goal. So make sure you tune into Big Broadcast for Good. Yeah, I same. Like I'll do that just for kicks. I'll pick my nose and wipe it on the cat. I ain't above it. Who am I kidding? Who am I kidding? But yeah. BB4G coming up, Zeldathon coming up. I have things I need to call Campy about, but that's very much other stuff. None of it's confirmed yet. Anyway, yes. Now that we have decided that I need to be much more picky and choosy about what I accept work-wise while I'm trying to get things together, here's all the things that I have already agreed to. It's going to be fun. No, I'm taking my computer with me mostly so that I know there is a computer that can run things that I have been asked to bring, like products I have been asked to bring. In theory, I could put them up and run them on whatever computer is there. In practice, I know they run on my computer. I'm going to use my computer. But yeah, I will be taking that. And yes, it does mean there's going to be the return of some things that I've done for other Zeldathon events. I'm not going to specify which ones yet, but there are. You're going to see some familiar stuff. You're also going to see some new stuff. I'm excited for it. I'm excited to see all my friends at Zeldathon. I'm excited to raise some money. I'm excited to have fun. I'm excited to see all of my friends. I get to room with Amaya again. I am so hyped for that. We were joking that we should do like a from hotel room in between stream. I said, yeah, we could probably do that. All right, what's it say? Boop doop boop boop. We have. What do we got? All right, we have options. All right. Yeah, no. Okay. I will circle back on that. Sweet. I'm hyped. For BB for G. Oh, I'm so hyped for BB for G. Very excited. Very excited. Hyped for Zeldathon. You know what I'm really hyped for? Dinner. I got a message from Ashley, who was having a very rough day today. She had a rough night last night, which led to a rough day today. She usually doesn't work opening shifts, but today, like she has been the last week or two, and it's kind of taking a toll to have that schedule change on her.
Yeah, I'm not looking forward to that.
But I try to do my best to make sure she's taken care of and offer whatever little comforts I can. Do you know what that absolute angel, that darling sweetheart, that love of mine, she brought me roast beef. I have roast beef for dinner tonight. I am so happy. I'm like unreasonably happy. I'm trying to remain calm about it, but I'm literally over here bouncing in my chair like, oh man, I can't wait for the show to be over so I can go eat my sandwich. They're just gonna have to wait at the meeting. I'm gonna take a few minutes and nuke a roast beef. I'm such a sucker for their food.
What the fuck is our dress code is common sense casual. If you have questions about what this means, feel free to reach out. No! Why aren't there like industry standard agreed? I mean, everybody's have their own variation, but why don't we have just like let's define what these kind of dress code casual different levels of casuality are. Print them in from some ISO guide and say like go
This
for at
is
least the
business
minimum of this.
casual. Business
This
casual
is the
is
minimum.
shirts require a collar and one or more buttons.
Like this?
Yes. But like that should be what they have in these guidelines is shirts require a collar and one or more buttons. That would allow for polos. That would allow for a button down, you know.
Right.
They can state, because they used to in our school handbooks, clothing cannot be in a state of disrepair. No visible holes or fraying.
Yeah.
They can say
T-shirts are allowed, nothing with prints on it, just because we
Yeah.
want to make sure and anything's acceptable. You
Yeah.
know, we just want to we don't want to be the arbiter of what's acceptable, so just nothing printed on the shirt.
The school handbook also said that knavery was against the rules. I do distinctly remember that.
I was suspended for that.
He is the source of so many of those rules too. Every year the rule book would change because I understand you have to keep the handbook updated. But many times the rule book would change in a manner where I could point at it and be like, I know why that's in there now.
Yep.
And that's why you are the ultimate QA right there. 100%. That is what you were training for in those moments.
The best one ever was the fact that the handbook said, and I quote, if you are between the ages of 16 and 18, you are required to get a parking permit to park in the student lot.
Yeah. Yep.
I pointed out that I was the age of 19 and I did not require a parking permit.
Fantastic
I did
stuff,
not have
man.
a car or a license, but I pointed out to them that I was not required to have one.
Yep. I could just drive here and park my 18-wheeler diagonally across 25 parking spaces, and you couldn't say nothing about it because I don't have to have a parking permit. Of course, they could also just refuse to let you park there, but...
My senior year, well, rather my fourth year, not my senior year. I don't know if I actually had a senior year, technically, because of math. They changed it to say if you are above the ages of 16.
Yeah.
Then I pointed out that instead of Ohio, you can have a driver's license at 15 and a half.
That changed while we were there, though.
No, that had always been a thing.
You could get your learner's permit at 15, but they changed that at some point in there.
Yep. And you were allowed to, one of the few exceptions, you were allowed to drive without an adult in the car solo on a permit was to drive to school.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
It's a fallback because of rural communities. So you could, in theory, drive there at 15 and a half because you could be in high school at 15 and a half. Depending on how you could be 15 in high school in 9th grade and not require a thing. And it was one of the few times Ruggiero ever said, God damn it, stop that in front of me. out loud in the office. He's like, God damn it, stop that.
Oh, man.
And then it blew his mind when he showed up at family reunion and I was there.
Yeah.
Because I was tangentially a couple stages across.
Because
technically
Italy.
related to him. Yeah, basically. And he was there and I walked just like, hey. He's like, no. What? And I'm like, Ralphie's my stepdad. And he's like, oh. And I just walked away laughing.
Nice. Yeah, Diet Mr. Pibb has all the amazing stories from the We need to get you on here again, man. We need to pick a day and have you back to tell us more fun BMB stories. Share them in the Discord, too, man. By the way, I'm sure everyone here is already in the Discord, but I do this every week, so out of habit, I will type !Discord. Make sure you are there, because it's the best way to keep apprised of what's going on. And as you've heard, boy howdy, is there some ongoings going on. So, please. Yeah, I think we are gonna wrap. I think we're gonna call it a night here. We're about 1 minute away anyway, and I have roast beef sandwiches calling my name, and I'm a bum, so I'm just gonna leave so I can go eat. But I appreciate very much every one of you being here with us tonight. Hope you've had fun. Make sure you're in the Discord. Make sure you come back next week for whatever we do next week, whenever we do it. Point is, we appreciate you. Thank you for coming to bull with us here at the Blue House today. Much love to you. We will catch you next time around. Don't forget to take your meds, drink your water, love your pets. Tell your friends you love them. Make it weird. Tell them loudly, publicly, especially with June coming up. Get them all confused. We love you guys. We will see you. Be safe. Bye.